Possibly live. Hello. Welcome to Sunkworks. It seems like we're live. I have to figure out what music we're going to play still. Hold on a second here. Oh, what music? What music? There's only one thing that I have had. 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 There's only one thing that I... Okay. There's only one thing that I've had stuck in my head all morning. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know what it's called because it's not in a language that I know very well. Let's see. Ren is involved. It's going to be under... Here we go. This is not the song I want to hear. Ah, here we go. Manu Chao. Now, do I know what song? No, I do not know. This one.
Me llaman el desaparecido, cuando llega ya se ha ido. Volando vengo, volando voy, deprisa, rumbo perdido. Cuando me buscan nunca estoy, cuando me encuentran yo no soy el que está enfrente porque ya me fui corriendo más allá. Me dicen el desaparecido, fantasma que nunca está. Me dicen el desagradecido, pero esa no es la verdad. Yo llevo en el cuerpo un dolor que no me deja respirar. Llevo en el cuerpo una condena que siempre me echa a caminar. Me dicen el desaparecido, que cuando llega ya se ha ido. Volando vengo, volando voy, deprisa, rumbo perdido. Vista pela intermediária contrária, deu trato da bola, fez abertura pela ponta canhota. Voltou do jogo imediatamente para o domínio do jogador que é Gilberto, ganhou pelo meião, agindo geral pela ponta canhota. Deu trato da bola, dominou para... Me dicen el desaparecido, fantasma que nunca está. Me dicen el desagradecido, pero esa no es la verdad. Yo llevo en el cuerpo un motor que nunca deja de rolar. Llevo en el alma un camino destinado a nunca llegar. Preparação de cobrança, no lance lateral, bate Ronaldo entregando na frente para o domínio do Juninho. Juninho vira para Luizinho, daí para Pimentel. Rei da raça do Vasco domina. Cuando me buscan nunca estoy, cuando me encuentran yo no soy el que está enfrente porque ya me fui corriendo más allá. Me dicen el desaparecido, cuando llega ya se ha ido. Volando vengo, volando voy, deprisa, rumbo perdido. Perdido en el siglo, perdido en el siglo, siglo XX. ¿Cuándo llegaré? ¿Cuándo llegaré? ¿Cuándo rumbo al 21? ¿Cuándo llegaré? Me llaman el desaparecido, perdido en el siglo. ¿Cuándo llegaré? ¿Cuándo llegaré? Me llaman el desaparecido. Me dicen el desaparecido, fantasma que nunca está. Me dicen el desagradecido, esa no es la verdad. Yo llevo en el cuerpo un motor que nunca deja de rolar. Llevo en el alma un camino destinado al nunca llega. Me llaman el desaparecido, que cuando llega ya se ha ido. Volando vengo, volando voy, deprisa, rumbo perdido. ¿Cuándo llegaré? 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 ¿Cuándo llegaré?
Wonderful. Great. Awesome start. Okay, welcome everyone to Sunkworks, where we build and break stuff. Today's episode, I'm not sure how much stuff is going to be broken, but you can bet it's probably not going to be zero things. We're definitely going to break something. And I'm going to do my best not to get any of those pesky API keys on the screen, but if you see one and I don't, please let me know. So where are we going to start today? Yeah, so I didn't write any sort of show notes for today, but I think we're going to start with the useless because that's where we finished last time, if I remember correctly. We came to the conclusion that it wouldn't work. And I'm not quite fully convinced anymore that it doesn't work or that it can't work. Actually, I'm quite convinced that there is a solution. We just didn't look far enough, or we weren't familiar enough with the spin ecosystem. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to check out the main branch. What is all this nonsense here? Oh, what are those? Kubernetes. I don't know what any of that stuff is. Just going to put it away for now. Hopefully there's no API key in here. Woo! Okay. All right. So if you don't remember what we built last time, or we built and brought it on the show, I can't remember if we actually built it on the show. Or if we even used, we did. We have a spec. So if you don't know what this is, the spec is a WIT file. I still haven't quite figured out spec-driven development. All right, so the main idea is that there's a contract, right? And the contract is the interface. And the contract is observed by several players in the ecosystem. That's why it's important that it's a contract, because it's not just between one and another, it's between a whole group. So we're changing the contract for, between one individual and another individual might not be so complicated. It only requires them both to agree to the change. A contract with multiple parties involved, it's important to get it right up front, because all of those parties may need to make a change if the contract should change materially. So the big idea here is that we're going to have one, I'm not even sure how to read this here. Yeah, okay. Interface tells us what we can call, what functions we can call, and world shows us, I guess, what we can pass around. We export the brain. That's where we have our functions that you can call. And we import a logger. That's where we'll send messages about how it went. I think that's really what this contract says. And then what is the other thing in here? Data structure, right? Our state file. This tells, okay, so this is our open API spec. So the other part of the contract for us, because the way we built this, we are leaning on Kubernetes. We expect that it's going to be available always. So rather than connect to another third-party database, we just use this custom resource definition state as our database. I suppose I should check if I'm audible and all those other things. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Okay. So the title of the episode is YOLO Mode Part 2, which means we have to do some Gemini work. Gemini, if you're watching, I don't know why your homebrew is never up to date. I always follow that instruction. I rarely get an upgrade to the latest version. We'll try it one more time today. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. Now you just got yourself hacked. Has anyone seen the Danish language video? Now you just started 1,000 latest milk. Sorry. Can we do like one of those? It's up here. There's a link. I'll put it in post. Okay. Um, now that you got that, so okay, Gemini. So what we had to tell him was something he wasn't able to infer on his own, I guess. There are two ways to get your certificate authority into the WebAssembly context. One is by baking it into the shim, and the other is by not using a shim, or by actually using a different kind of shim. Let me pull up some documentation here. This is what we missed, and it's not new. I don't know how we missed it, but if you want to call a spin app and you don't have the capability to configure, what is it, the runtime executor? Runtime class manager. Right? Is that what it is? Runtime class manager. Formerly KWASM. Yeah, okay. So you use the runtime class manager to install the shim on your node so that you can use the spin runtime class. Or there's maybe a couple of different runtime classes depending on what WASM runtime you want to use with spin cube. But if you don't have access to the nodes, like let's say if you're running on EKS auto mode, or if you're running on K3D, like we were for the debugging session, and if you find that you don't have the capability to build yourself a new runtime host, then what you got to do is run your spin in a container. And this is not great for performance, I imagine. I'm just guessing that the reason why this isn't heavily promoted is because the whole point of the runtime class is to get away from the container runtime, the container D, because it's slow compared to, like, you know, not running a container in container D. Even if you have to download the runtime image, well, especially if you have to download the runtime image, it's going to be very slow. So I think what we're going to find out is, as long as we have this image available, and it's not going to be fermion spin, it's actually let's see if we can find where this should go now. I believe it's spin framework. Spin. Here we go. As long as we have a published runtime image, it doesn't matter if our spin shim is correctly configured or not. We can run the app and we can test it, and we can also bake in our own CA certificates. So this is not the only option here. Default CA certificates is one option, right? But wait a minute. Spin app executor. All right, we need a live one to see here if it's true or not. Hey, Gemini. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have the? We have to use the voice input. That's key here. Without that, we're gonna look like a caveman. This works 99% of the time, every time. The less I talk for too long, the less likely it is to give up on me and lose my whole entire transcription. So, all right. We think we figured out how to make this whole thing work. We ran into a problem when we were debugging this the first time because we couldn't get our Kubernetes API CA certificate into the spin runtime. So we couldn't get our API server to talk to the API using a service account or whatever. It just wasn't possible. We could run the API server locally and disable CA verification or connect it to the CA whatever other way that you can do when you run locally. But when we ran it in the Kubernetes environment, the Spin API would not connect to Kubernetes because of the CA certificate, which is a self-signed certificate. So we think we found the answer. It's called Spintainer Executor or Spin App Executor. It allows us to pull a container from, for example, let me make sure I get it a good link. Is that for real? There's 9 polls. This must not be how most people are using Spin. The gap before was that we couldn't configure a CA certificate, but we should be able to. I'm going to set up a orb stack with K3 whatever vCluster so that we can try it again. But will you familiarize yourself with all this stuff and come up with a plan so that we can get this off the ground with maybe version 0.0.2 today? I'd really like to see it work from end to end. What do you think? Okay, and it's YOLO mode, so we have to go YOLO mode here. Otherwise, it's not real YOLO mode episode. You see here, this is what's working in the background so that I can just talk to the computer and not get bogged down in typing. This is what I needed for every presentation ever, except probably English language is not the language that I would want to type into my terminal in most presentations. But today it's the theme. And I'm actually watching the chat today in case we get anyone who is going to follow along with what we're doing. If anyone is tuning in, please say hi in the chat. If you're tuning in after the fact, also feel free to say hi in the chat. I told it I was going to do some work here, so we better get cracking on that. And if you don't remember what the useless machine is for, you'll see. It's not that complicated, though. The answer is it doesn't do anything of importance. But it does it very well, and it does it according to a framework. If you've ever seen one of those little boxes where the switch, you flip the switch and then the finger comes out and flips it back in the opposite direction, that was the inspiration for this. It's just meant to be, I don't have my phone on me, but it's meant to be there's an Android app and an API, and the Android app and the API are connected on the back end to a Kubernetes CRD that gets reconciled by a controller runtime controller. And it's just supposed to check if you've pushed the button within the last 24 hours. And if you did, you know, there'll be a timestamp. And if it hasn't been pushed, then it's supposed to enable the beckon, right? Or whatever. I don't know what we decided to call it. I'm mixing terminology now between Mecris and useless, which is okay. Yeah, no, check your calendar. Spin 2.0 was released a very long time ago. Spin 4.0.0 is indeed the latest version, and it only has apparently 9 downloads right now from that image URL. So we're on the leading edge, man. So yeah, OrbStack is running, and one of our nodes is ready and one is not ready. I suppose that's okay. You might want to tear down the vCluster and create a new one, or you might want to take a look at what's in there before you do all that. But it doesn't look like it's healthy right now, so I would gently suggest at least, that you do consider tearing down the vCluster and creating a new one. There's nothing important in there at all. I'm pretty sure we could reproduce it all from the repo that we have here. So what are we writing? Scaffolding, deploy apps API. It specifies the container executor. Yeah, so if you recall, the way that we got our spin app running, oh, here, let's look for pods. That will tell us how far we got. We probably have a few pending. Spin operator, controller manager, metric server. I think we tore down the spin app. Oh, but we did get something running with a spintainer. Mecris Sync v2. That's our app. And it's, I'm pretty sure it's a spin v4. That's why we came here to test it out 5 days ago, because we upgraded Mecris to spin v4, and all of the clouds are not quite there yet. All of the clouds that run spin. The Fermion and the Akamai cloud. They might actually be by now. It's been a week, almost. So yeah, why don't you give it a shot? Give it a whack. So does that mean that spin on Kubernetes just isn't a demand thing, or are we on the leading edge? I prefer not to think about that. The other alternative is we picked a dead-end technology that no one actually uses. That would be horrifying, because I think it's really good. It's really good for agentic development too, because I mean, I've gotten personally bogged down in a lot of spin things trying to figure out how to make this or that work, but what we got here? JetStack. Spin cube. No, it's not spin cube anymore. Everything moved. Hey man, back up. I want to know what version of everything you're installing. If you're trying to install from spincube.dev, you definitely have outdated information. You need to search for the latest version of everything before you try installing anything, please. I'm going to look and see what you just installed there, but I believe it's probably not very good. What do we got? Helm install traffic. No, that's not you. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Here we go. Spin, handler. Maybe this stuff is okay, but please make sure you're searching for the latest version because SpinCube is moved under the Spin framework, and I think you need to install the latest version of everything if you want it to work with Spin 4.0.0. So what I would like to do, if we can get this working, that would be great. If it doesn't work, well, it's Sunkworks. But if we can move on to the next thing as quickly as possible, I would love to show everyone the current state of Mecris, so you can understand maybe a little bit better why I'm interested in building this monstrosity hybrid Kubernetes Android app thing. The big idea is a better infrastructure for Mecris, because Mecris was born an MCP server in a void, and he didn't have any API to support him. He didn't have a database at first. He just had a sort of vague hand-wavy spec. What is spin operator 0.6.1? We're gonna have to double check everything, aren't we? Spin operator. Oh, I did get the latest version. Okay, that's good. That's good, man. Sorry. Apologies to anyone who has epilepsy. Sorry, that's not funny. Gemini, get your shit together. So the brain is the part that's shared, and the operator, the special thing about this operator is that it incorporates the WASM brain. So it doesn't duplicate the logic inside of the WASM brain. If it needs to push the button or do any of the things that the WASM brain itself supports, it calls into the WASM brain and has that WASM brain do the thing. Which is why it's so important that the WASM brain can actually talk to Kubernetes, because if it can't talk to Kubernetes, then it can't do the thing that I need it to do. And I saw that spin app executor here is what we wanted to find out. Wait a minute. Explore spin app executor spec. deployment. Here we go. CA cert secret specifies the name of the secret containing the certificates to be mounted to the deployment. CA certificates. So that's the one we need to exercise there. We should tell him about it. You are going to need this. Seems to know how to make the thing go. I don't know if we just documented everything really well or what happened. How come it is able to work so effectively on this weird thing that no one's ever seen before? Run, go mod download, failed. Did not complete successfully. Need a newer Golang, I guess. Okay. As long as it's not trying to downgrade. I found some of the Python things in Spin v4 I had to downgrade Pythons for. I'm not sure if it's because the newer Pythons are unstable or what, but I would think you would want everything to be on the latest version. But I don't know much about Python, so... That blue is too dark for this black. Can't see shit. The fans on my laptop are spinning something fierce, man. Should have got a bigger laptop or something. I have the 13-inch MacBook Pro. M3 now, I think. I had a M2, but it had the touch bar fail in a really inconvenient way. It would just flash once in a while at you. It would start flashing. Like, again, sorry to anyone who has epilepsy, but can't use my computer. So that one is still useful. It's still used. It's the TV now. It's just a perpetually closed lid laptop that we use for TV. So is it working? I don't know. Sure looks like it's building. Oop. Hey, Vinbox operator. No, it's not happy. Failed to list. Forbidden. But it talked to the API. Oh, wait. No, the controller. Of course, the controller is able to talk to the API. Failed to list. Cannot list resource. Well, okay, so it's paying pretty close attention here to what's wrong. Seems like it's going to figure it out. Gave him a cluster role binding. Useless API admin. Does that mean we're not getting errors anymore? I think it does. More than 10 seconds, 20 seconds has passed, and we don't see another error. Nope, there's one more error. The other thing we can do, if the Flash model isn't very good, we can always crank it up to Pro. We do have that AI Pro subscription here. Yeah, okay, it found CA certificate, service account name. Ooh. That looks a little better. Create container configure. We need a useless API token. I didn't know our API was authorized. I hope it's a static token. Woo! Yeah, so there's a CLI to call the API. Besides the Android app. And it looks like it's working. Holy shit. What version of Spin is our app actually built against? I don't think that Spin 4.0.0 was out when we built our app originally. And I want to understand if earlier versions of Spin can use a later version of the host. So what version of Spin SDK is our WASM brain or Spin API actually built against? And tell us a little bit more about the architecture and all the components. It looks like you've been able to exercise them all. I think you've figured out the system here. I'm going to increase the size of your brain here so you can give me a really good answer. Tell me all about this useless machine and what it's for and what it does. Well, there you have it. Not useless after all. It actually works. You can push a number. It does work. All right. Wow, I'm beat. I don't know if I can have anything left in me for another piece of the episode now. I wasn't expecting that to actually work on the first try. Um, why don't we look at Mecris? I'll show you what my daily workflow is like. We'll have a little bit more YOLO mode. So we've got some Claude tokens that are generously donated by Helix.ml. Here, these folks. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Temo, for connecting us. This is where I can use them. Oh, your credit wallet balance is low. Hmm. Oh man, what happened here? Well, that's bad. It's sure not supposed to do that, man. We were spending like $2 a day for the longest time, and then I didn't get a billing alert or anything. This is a mistake. Holy shit. Sorry, guys. Okay. I don't know how that happened. We're gonna have to see what happened here. Gemini, tell me what happened. Here. Here's what's happened. What has happened? It says it's still running. Jeez. How could it still be running? Yeah, so if you've never seen Mecris before, what he actually does is he looks at a few things. He looks at my Beeminder goals. He looks at my step data, if it's available, if the Android app has reported in. So far today, it hasn't. And he looks at my Closemaster stats to try to understand how I'm doing on language learning goals. Learning Arabic and Greek with Closemaster and Beeminder. And it just figures out alignment between all those things and tries to help me understand what I should do. Should I take the dogs for a walk? Should I study Greek? What am I in for today? How can I stay ahead of my Beeminder goals and stay in balance? And it has notifications through a number of different channels, which it uses progressively. I guess it will send a WhatsApp if it sees that the Android app hasn't checked in. I haven't seen it send a WhatsApp in a while, but it sends me an Android notification at least twice a day, every day. Unless I did all the things before it checked, which usually isn't the case. Something changed on April 27th or 8th. No, I think you need to take a harder look and do a deeper investigation here. So something happened on April 27th or April 28th that must have been responsible for this. We've run with a 200 turns per session limit for a long time. The bot is supposed to count its turns and stop at 60 and spend up to 20 turns in the accounting stage, and then have enough turns left to do a rebase if necessary, or something, an emergency recovery if there's been a conflict pushed while the bot was working. But Claude Sonnet 4.6 is not a future model. Is that what happened on April 27th? Or 28th? What happened on April 28th? We were consistently spending $2 to $3 per day, and then all of a sudden, it's $38, $60, $88. It was getting more every day. The sessions don't span a day. They are every 2 hours for 12 hours a day. And the bot has never had access to read its own balance. That's been an aspirational feature. So, no, I want more investigation. I want to know specifically what happened that caused this overspend, because it was stable until April 27th or April 28th. So go through each commit, do an inspection, and look for the commit on that day that changed something that would explain why we suddenly, import a bunch of junk? Is there, like, the commit history is now polluted with dependencies that we don't own, or what? Like, there's got to be a real explanation. I'm not satisfied with any of your answers. It shouldn't have access to the database. That's by design. Is it because we added skills? We gave it awareness of the MCP, didn't we? I bet you that's what it is. Tell me what you find. We did. We added more skills. We gave it access to skills. And we should have checked in sooner after that. There's no way it's really reading all this. It's just going to use up my whole Gemini quota too, isn't it? Well, we have some victories and some failures today. What happened on April 27? We created the follow leader skill. That was the day we put all the skills in. Oh man. Well, that's kind of a huge bummer. I feel like I should put some money in the bucket now, but not right now. Oh, that might be it. The session log is just exponentially larger. $2,000 lines? Well, that's a problem. Well, 200 turns is apparently a lot of turns, but also probably not the right way to limit the bot. I wonder if we can actually let it count the number of tokens that it spends. Boris! How long have we been going here? Oh, well, it says it's been about an hour. I think we're about ready to wrap up here, but let's see if we can come to conclusion. What does it think? Well, there you have it. So maybe we can get it to use the not Claude. So the main feature of Helix isn't that you can spend money on Claude, actually. You can use models that are hosted inside of Helix, like in Luke's basement or in their data center. I'm not sure if those are the same thing. I think that there's one that runs in Luke's actual house, and he had to drill holes in the wall of the basement to make ventilation so that it wouldn't get so hot. And oh yeah, dash V, man, are you serious? Is that what it's been running? Oh god. Well, oh boy, wait a minute here. What is it trying to do? Parallel Git sessions? I've seen it do that before. Yeah, I don't know if you have a Helix API key, but I will get you one as soon as the live stream is over. I want you to plan um, some sort of monitoring so that we can guarantee that the next time there is a runaway spend that's outside of the normal parameters, that we actually get an alert. Because I've been busy the last couple of days. That's why I haven't looked. And now I feel bad because I spent a bunch of money and it was apparently a waste on input tokens that are just nonsense, right? Thousands of lines of success logs. Yeah, oh God. I feel so bad I wasted money. Well, at least it's not like I wasted the government's money or something like that. It's almost as bad. You haven't understood the problem here. The problem is that the Helix API doesn't provide budget information. The Neon database doesn't have that information in it. We don't have a way to get that information, so we need to find a way to get it indirectly. We probably can find evidence of the overspend in the session logs. You can probably find, I have a graph here in the billing session. I'm going to take a screenshot of it now. It's got two signals that I'm sure we could observe. One says low credits warning, and the other one says total spend and input output. And I'll take another screenshot of that. I'll give them both to you. But we actually need to observe the problem. So make sure that your plan isn't focused on our architecture. It should be focused on Helix itself, because that's where we're spending. And if we're creating an overspend and it's in AWS and it's Claude tokens, that's one thing. It's a waste of money. I'm sad about it, but if we actually switch now at this point to use the GPUs in Luke's basement, and we're overspending on that, and the tokens we're wasting are generating heat in Luke's basement, then we could actually burn his house down. And I don't want to do that. So take a look at these screenshots from 0502. I will share them with you. Now, bear in mind, we have lots of prior art about budgeting and tracking usage, but lots of it is asynchronous in a way where I need to physically check in, and that's a gap. If I have to read the number off the dashboard into the MCP for the data to be recorded, then we don't catch this problem, and Luke's house burns down. So we really have to make sure that we solve this one. Think hard, make no mistakes. There. That works every time. All right, I'm going to log off now. I'm going to give it the Helix API key and see what it can come up with if it explores the API. It's going to find something. We'll figure this out. We're not going to burn Luke's house down, I promise. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Everyone, thanks all of you who didn't tune in for absolutely nothing. If you're watching, that's not you. Godspeed and God bless. Here, how can I turn this damn thing off now? Wait a minute. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.